I'm Andrew Mitchell, and I'm going to take you through the Ravenscar House Museum, which is located in Christchurch, New Zealand. So Christchurch is regarded as one of the most English cities out of England, or the England of the South. It's a formally planned city around a gridula network of beautiful parks and neo-Gothical architecture. This style evolved in the 50s and 60s and it became known as the Christchurch style, I guess where the load-bearing stone moved to breeze block and in-situ concrete. However, in 2011, a devastating earthquake occurred, including the significant loss of life. Huge amounts of the built heritage was destroyed. So the central government made a call to make the city more compact, and in doing so acquired significant amount of private land and repackaged it into new lots. In doing so, around 2/3 of the city was demolished, and all of this, the whole city, ended up in a huge mountain of rubble out in the countryside. It was one of New Zealand's most costly disasters. Our client also lost their property, which is on the top of this cliff, and it was also taken by the government. They made a call to use their insurance payout and donate those proceeds to a new public building for the people of Christchurch to enjoy, and would have to be located in the central city. This is the new central city master plan that came post-earthquake. There's a cultural boulevard that extends from Hagley Park on the left through to the cathedral on the right. Numerous public or civic buildings along that Broadway. And the site in red was a public car park. And despite us trying to find another site in this new master plan, our client definitely wanted this one. So we went through about a 3-year process of acquiring the site for them. A huge amount of public consultation to lose a car park, can you believe it? The site itself is located on a historic block of original villas. Some of them are single level and 2-level high. Opposite us are the significant neo-Gothic buildings. And as part of the deed of sale, the Canterbury Museum on the bottom left corner agreed to take on the running of the institution as a non-for-profit. So in sort of memory of our client's love of formal gardens and ponds, we placed a central courtyard impluvium in the middle of the site and arranged 4 domestic scale pavilions or chambers around it with a connecting element to create a sequential pathway through the building. We took the ridge lines, gave it a twist, forming one residential unified form. This was important to us because we wanted a dynamic facade treatment around the whole building, which could be viewed in the round. So the dynamic roof form underlies a orthogonal plan below. You enter the building from the left, from the street, through a door proceeding between 2 of the chambers into a number 2 and 4, which is a combined lobby impluvium. From there you take an anti-clockwise route through the building, passing between glass anterooms, which provide vistas through the building and into the garden and provide connecting points into the central impluvium and the garden. So this is the cross-section. We have a small basement car park to appease the council. They were losing their car park, so we had to provide them some. And the building sits on a base isolated table. There's 16 rubber bearings that allow the building to move around 1/2 metre in every direction. So this is important to our client. They'd lost their beautiful home and they wanted this thing to last 100 years plus. So this is the site plan with the building intact. We wanted the chambers to almost raise out of the pattern that we've created, including the landscaping. So we have a lot of external paving finishes that bleed through the glass links, almost interweaving between the two. And you may notice the rooms are labelled as residential names like kitchen, bedroom, so forth. We actually constructed the building as a residential house. I think one of the family members stayed in it one night, and then it was converted to a public building thereafter, and that was part of the insurance. We needed to make sure we got the money before it was completed. And the actual rooms themselves are sized precisely on the owner's original home. and we extended the chambers slightly for the, I guess, the program around storage and toilets and so forth. So the huge mountain of rubble was poignant to us. We'd seen that and wanted to respond to it. So we wanted to use demolition material that would otherwise have been put in landfill and embody it in our building. So we have a number of crushed aggregate that we put into the concrete mix across all the walls and roof. We used crushed red brick from a Victorian building nearby. We used volcanic stone from the art centre across the road, and some of the Wakefield's own granite paving from their own house got put into this building. And I guess while it's perhaps a sombre reminder of the devastation of the earthquake, we wanted to represent it in a contemporary way as as a message or a way of looking forward, celebrating the future while respecting the past. The street frontage has a singular point of entry. It's monumental. It's it's displaying what's important within. And I guess from certain elevations, the dynamic roof form solidifies in some moments into the iconic gable end, but as you move around the building, it immediately transforms into something more dynamic. As you come into the building through the single slot entry, the lobby itself frames the beautiful Gothic Revival Art Centre in the distance. And we have an internal impluvium that catches the water from a thin stainless steel draped canopy. And that collects all the water from the surrounding roofs and displaces it into this pond. When it rains, it certainly takes on a completely different narrative, and I have to say, I've been in here when a storm's brewing, and it's quite the show. Moving through the gallery spaces, they are black box spaces intended to curate anything required. You move from dark to light and light to dark, passing through the glazed link blocks. The intention here is the Wakefield's own work will be displayed with international loan-outs, and it's quite hard to get international loan-outs way down in New Zealand, so we've made it to international gallery specifications. There's one space that will remain as a permanent works in the honour of the incredible gift the Wakefields did, and that's located off the lobby. And it's a library space holding their finest art and artefacts and their book collection. So you're encouraged as a visitor, stop by here, grab a seat and spend as much time as you want. We did this room in walnut, which was in reference to the client's original library in their home. The largest of the glass links is a sculpture terrace, and that also provides a link into the internal courtyard and the outdoor courtyard, which is also a function space. And we're very mindful in spaces like this that the heritage of cloisters and courtyards in the Christchurch tradition was maintained, and I know the building across the road has some stunning ones. So while our building obviously embodies the Gothic Revival and that later Christchurch style, we needed to do that with a twist as a contemporary take. To date, I understand that our building is the only one to have used disused rubble in the construction of the building. Sadly, the clients passed away before the building was completed, and they never got to see their dream realised. However, they can rest assured their artefacts and art are in safe hands, and the building has taken on this additional narrative as a memorial to the lost built heritage of Christchurch and all those lives lost in the earthquake. So it was a pleasure to be involved with the project. It was a 10-year duration for us, and it was certainly a great thing to have created a new building out of something old. So thank you.
So thank you. I think this is a very beautiful building. Also, I think that the commission was quite difficult because you are in the middle of a residential area, and then you need to create something that, I mean, could have the scale of a kindergarten. So that means that it's a kind of community building, and then you have developed it in a very smart way, no? Somehow, when you were talking about this, it reminds me the Menil Foundation in Houston, but not only the Rancho Piano building that is bigger, but the other buildings. No, the idea of how you dissolve some art center into a community. No, it would be great that some other buildings like this will appear around. But in any case, this one you did something very difficult. That is working with some materials that are coming more from the language of the public buildings, like these kind of panels that look concrete or stone. And at the same time to create a scale that is very human. No? The scale of the courtyard is great, the way you put the glass in the courtyard is also great. So I think that is a small but very successful project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. I'll go back a couple.
Very nice presentation. I like the monolithic nature of the external. And I think I've seen this image before. I was quite intrigued how you got the concrete to work like that.
Okay.
So you can tell me afterwards.
Oh, I can tell you now. It's a 100 mil layer of concrete, and it's got insulation behind that, then the structural concrete behind that. So the intention here is that this layer will wear away over time. So we want the building to slowly erode, and this will take, maybe 100 years. But this is as much as the engineers allowed us to do. But we know that as they water blast it, it'll slowly reveal itself more. Yeah.
Very well put together, and I must say, I love the way you place the entrances, and the courtyard. The detailing is quite nice. Concrete is not the easiest to detail in panels, and I think it's been done very well. So yeah, I am familiar with the project. Very nice.
Yes, beautiful project. It's interesting, the brick almost looks like, I was just in Japan recently with the red maple leaves in autumn that sort of scatter on rocks and paths and things. So it's a surprisingly sort of natural and temporary feeling effect from something that's so heavy and sad actually. And so that lightness and sadness together of the project, I think, comes across really well. And yes, just to echo the comments to get all your concrete joints so perfect and fine. I also want to find out from you afterwards how you did it.
I can quickly mention that because we're on the base isolated table, it allowed all the panels to be stitched together, so the joints could be very small. So these walls are almost acting as beams traversing the car park below, which are the whole thing supported on rubber bearings, so it can all move. So it was all very, yeah.
And then the top joint, it's a mitre, is it, to get the...
That's got a small flashing, yeah, that's a mitre, yep.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I can't resist sort of, not exact, it's for Paul to sum up, but coming right at the end, there's one sort of strand that's running through, not all of the work by any means, but it's a strand that intrigues me, which is what I would call the language of rhetorical humility. It's not to do with minimalism exactly, it's to do with how much degree of message a building sends out. We have seen buildings which we have perhaps accused of wanting to be another typology or wanting to be another function from that which they are. One has also perhaps accused some buildings of hiding their light under a bushel. And yours is, I think, also almost in the pavilion territory, not quite, but it is an unlike building to the surround. And of course, the naughty part of me is always wondering in a town that has already had earthquakes, how is the building prepared for the next earthquake? Yep. And that's not just a technical question, it's sort of what you want to go. And so it's, in my mind, it's involved in the avoidance of incident. What was interesting is how you approached the description. You said there are these 4 blocks. And I thought I was expecting another kind of building.
Yeah.
And then you twisted them. And then, in fact, you covered them in a kind of sheet. Just like in the case of the Bastille Power Station, one said, you know, there's this great carcass that's holding all sorts of things. Here, it's a simpler thing, but I'm intrigued as to whether you really wanted to have even less architecture than you got, or not. And then I think it's interesting that somebody raised the issue of de Menil, and I was thinking on an earlier project, actually, about the Rothko Chapel. Maybe the Rothko Chapel is a sort of model that we know about and suppress and comes up every so often. Nice piece, anyhow.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.